Okay.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Daily Herold here on Badlands Media. I am your host, Jon Herold. Welcome to those of you in the Rumble chat and the YouTube chat and on Twitter, if anybody's watching over there. Lots going on this morning, especially in the last hour and a half or so. We're going to talk about it all. Real quick, I want to, Sergeant Spark in the chat, I'm sorry for saying blah, blah, blah yesterday. That's a nice shirt you have there, John. It's okay. You can make fun of me. I just might give it back sometimes and call you out for it. But you are allowed to make fun of me. I think that's, if we're going to make America great again, we got to be able to make fun of each other. It's going to be standard practice. Let's get a quick word from our sponsor of today's show. Then we'll get right into today's headlines. And as always, I'll keep it to under an hour. We have Goldco sponsor of today's show. Have you heard about President Trump's impact on gold? Every time Trump's name surges in the headlines, gold goes with it. Happened the day he took office, and it's still going up. Gold doesn't just like Trump. It rallies around him. If you bought gold the day he became president, you'd be up almost $400 an ounce by now. But here's the thing. Gold has been used as a store of value for centuries. The government can't easily manipulate it, and it's known as a hedge against market risk and inflation. How high will the price of gold go under Trump in his second term? Will gold continue to break record after record in 2025 and beyond? Learn about the IRS loophole that allows you to diversify your savings with gold and silver, tax and penalty free, with a free copy of the gold and silver kit sent directly to your doorstep. Plus, you could qualify for up to 10% instant match and bonus silver. Visit badlandsgold.com to learn how you can add gold to your portfolio. That's badlandsgold.com. As you know, here at Badlands, we are big believers in diversifying your assets. So get yourself some gold and silver, get yourself some Bitcoin. Do what you can to set that money aside. Things are only going to get better, in my opinion. That is not financial advice. Let's start cruising through. No update on the Doge website. There's one new thing on the presidential website, and that is a presidential permit authorizing Cameron County, Texas, to construct, maintain, and operate a pedestrian border crossing, at the Gateway International Bridgeland Port of Entry. So there's been a few of these instances where he'll provide a permit allowing some sort of gateway or something at the border. Border crossings are way, way down. Biggest news I would say today so far is this one. The New York Appellate Court tosses a $527 million fraud penalty against Donald Trump. You guys remember Letitia James and her vindictive persecution of Donald Trump? She's being investigated on her own right now, by the way. But this is what happened. A New York appellate court on Thursday struck down the $500 million civil fraud penalty against President Trump, his two sons, other executives, and their company, ruling that the fine was excessive and in violation of the Eighth Amendment's ban on excessive fines. The penalty stems from a February 2024 ruling by Judge Arthur Engerone, who had ordered Trump and his co-defendants to pay nearly $364 million in ill-gotten gains, plus years of interest, bringing the total to roughly $527 million. Trump was responsible for nearly 98% of that amount. Remarkable. A remarkable amount of money that was, in a judgment placed against Trump in the first place, and now it's gotten thrown out. This is huge. I think it's great, and there's a Trump said it's a great win for America. He also had this to say, two long posts. I'm going to read them. We'll see what kind of reading day I'm having. So no promises. It's not feeling great. Not as good as it was last night. Bravest says, remarkably ridiculous. That is remarkably ridiculous. Total victory in the fake New York State Attorney General Letitia James case. I greatly respect the fact that the court had the courage to throw out this unlawful and disgraceful decision that was hurting business all throughout New York State. Others were afraid to do business there. The amount, including interest and penalties, was over $550 million. It was a political witch hunt in a business sense, the likes of which no one has ever seen before. This was a case of election interference by the city and state trying to show illegally that I did that I did things that were wrong when in fact everything I did was absolutely correct and even perfect. Every single dollar was thrown out, even the penalties imposed on us by the corrupt judge, one of the most overturned in history, Arthur Engeron, which, by the way, the fact that he allowed this excessive fine in violation of the Eighth Amendment, I mean, how is this guy going to be held to account? Is there going to be any justice for him doing that? I would love to see it. You know, we haven't, we're on the verge of that justice phase. It's like there's so many things lining up. It's just, we got to wait for that one domino to fall, and then we're finally going to see just a tidal wave of justice. This guy I would love to see on the list. Same with Letitia. Anyway, I wasn't given a jury, and during the course of the trial, which lasted a long time, was not given one ruling in my favor by this political hack. But worse than him, if that's possible, was Letitia James, a corrupt and incompetent attorney general who only brought this case in order to hurt me politically. She's a Trump deranged lunatic. They made me bond the outrageous sum, which never happened before, and which cost me millions of dollars a month. It should have never been allowed to happen, and everyone knew it. He's saying, like, because he had to pay the bond, he could have had that money like in investments, gaining interest, but he didn't. So that's where he said it cost $1 million a month. That's where it comes from. Importantly, the vote was 5-0. I'm so honored by Justice David Friedman's great words of wisdom, which should be read by everyone. I would also like to thank the court for having the courage to make this decision, which is already going down as one of the worst business persecutions in the history of our country. Sadly, there are other cases against me that are equally disgraceful, including those headed up by corrupt judges like Juan Merchan, whose daughter collected millions of dollars in fees from crooked Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, while her father shockingly refused to recuse himself from a vicious and corrupt trial, which is also under appeal, one in which every legal pundit in New York said there was no case. Even editorial boards said, do not do this. Judge Merchan gave me an unprecedented gag order. Is this the one, what's the lady's name? Oh, shoot. The one with the cat named Vagina. If you guys remember that from the CNN article or the CNN interview, town hall or whatever. Why can't I think of her name right now? Anyway, whatever. The chat will remember and tell me. Judge Merchan gave me an unprecedented gag order, blah, blah, blah. Many lawyers said that his daughter and him created the greatest conflict of interest they had ever seen. Judge Lewis Kaplan, and other remaining case whose wife, family, and friends attended his 2 trials, is as mean and nasty as anyone I've ever met. That case, also on appeal, should also never have been brought, and he should be admonished for abuse and every other thing that can be thrown at a corrupt judge. He loved the publicity and would not let us present the irrefutable evidence that we wanted to present. The Clinton-appointed judge should not be allowed to get away with this scam. E. Jean Carroll, thank you. The gag order, yeah. E. Jean Carroll is the one I was thinking of. Thank you guys for, in the chat, for reminding me. Continued. These were all political trials in an effort to destroy my viability as a presidential candidate before, during, and after the election. We've been saying that on Badlands for a long time. Not that it was that hard to figure out. They were strongly coordinated with the Biden-Harris campaign and will go down in history as among the most corrupt cases ever brought. And you know what? This point right here is worth repeating, because that's exactly what they tried to do with the Russia collusion hoax, which is being investigated right now. And so him saying this, I wonder if some of these things like the Letitia James, the E. Jean Carroll, all that stuff, you know, I'm assuming that these cases are also going to be wrapped into that grand RICO case, which is being built, which I'll have a story on that here shortly. These 2 cases are even more ridiculous than the corrupt Letitia James case, and will be found out to be so in the very near future. All of these judges should be ashamed of themselves for allowing them to happen. They are political hacks who did everything possible to hurt me as a candidate. This was an attack by the Biden-Harris administration on their political opponent, me. It is such an honor to have withstood it, thrived, and even become president of the United States, despite the horrible things that were done to me. I can relate to that. A lot of horrible things being said and done to me as well, Mr. Trump, President Trump. But we're thriving over here on our end as well. I'd like to thank and congratulate my son, Eric Trump, and all of the many people in the Trump organization that fought so strongly for justice. My legal team refused to give up against heavy odds. This is a great day for New York City and state. So crazy. That stuff is, the case is done. I guess the fine is thrown out. I wonder if, you know, the Letitia James thing, she's being investigated for mortgage fraud, which, again, I think is a pretty weak attempt at taking somebody down, somebody like Letitia James, who clearly did this political persecution to benefit the Biden administration. I want to see her tied up in the grand RICO case. The mortgage thing is like an aside to me. I don't think that's an issue. I mean, I understand why the property tax thing, but I think property taxes should be illegal anyway. I think all taxes should be banned. So the mortgage fraud thing, it just doesn't float my boat necessarily. I want to see her wrapped up in the RICO Grant investigation, which, speaking of, I got some new stuff for you guys today on this. Some of it we talked about last night on the Power Hour. Hold on, I just got to pull up a video that I want to play here in a minute. All right, so first the story, we got this. Just the News came out with a new report. IRS began criminal probe into Clinton Foundation in 2019, but then suddenly stopped memos show. This is on the heels of last week. They released a new investigation. There was like this FBI memo that outlined the timeline of the Clinton Foundation investigation. And in that memo is when Sally Yates said, hey, we need to shut it down. Like, shut it down right now, looking into the Clinton Foundation. Well, now, that was last week. Now we have this. Years after the FBI was forced to shut down multiple corruption probes of Bill and Hillary Clinton's charity, the IRS under President Trump began a criminal tax investigation into the Clinton Foundation and its dealings with other players on the global charity stage, but then abruptly stopped working with whistleblowers in spring 2019, according to IRS memos and internal emails reviewed by Just the News. Those emails and memos have not been publicized yet. I'm hoping they are. I'd love to read through them. Now, I do want to point out, this being started under Trump and then kind of swept under the rug is interesting. I saw a couple comments on Twitter about like, why would Trump do this? It's not like Trump was overseeing this investigation single-handedly. He may not have even known it was going on. But somebody within the FBI or the IRS or whatever, clearly not on the side of justice. One of the Comey's people, I think John Solomon made the comment on that in the video I'm going to play you in a minute. But anyway, can't talk about the Clinton Foundation, the memo states, in recounting how IRS agents suddenly cut off contact with two whistleblowers they had been working with for weeks. One of the whistleblowers was a decorated former federal money laundering analyst who had testified before Congress about issues like terrorism financing. The documents released under the FOIA Act, whatever, add a new body of evidence about the federal government's concerns about the former first family's famous global charity, as well as a persistent narrative of federal agents being thwarted in their pursuit of investigations tied to major Democratic Party figures. The memos show the duo submitted multiple IRS Form 211 applications for award or original information, which could have given them a financial reward if taxpayer funds were recovered as a result of what they had unearthed and shared with the IRS about the Clinton Foundation. This is pretty damning too, and why I want to see the actual sauce here from Just the News. These whistleblowers submitted forms saying that, like, hey, we can return taxpayer money because of their investigation into the Clinton Foundation, and they want an award for it. So that alone tells us that the Clinton Foundation was somehow inappropriately using taxpayer money. That's pretty nuts. A Just the News review of related notes and internal IRS emails shows several meetings between the whistleblowers and the IRS between January and April of 2019. The IRS appears to have moved from a serious initial interest in pursuing the Clinton Foundation's potential wrongdoing to slamming the brakes, allegedly claiming that such an inquiry couldn't and wouldn't be launched after all. All investigative activity had petered out by July of 2019. So again, shutting it down. One more thing here I want to read. Internal IRS emails show an IRS office in New Jersey initially taking a serious interest in the whistleblower allegations about the Clinton Foundation. The meeting notes by Doyle and Moynihan repeatedly indicate that the IRS wanted to formalize a relationship with them as informants/whistleblowers or as cooperating witness/whistleblowers. The meeting notes by the whistleblowers also quote one IRS investigator as having said that the whistleblower documents on the Clinton Foundation indicated that the entire enterprise is a fraud. But the IRS agents soon purportedly told the whistleblowers that we can't talk about the Clinton Foundation, a significant and swift reversal of what they claim they had been told. Now, remember, Trump's first term, like with all the Rushgate stuff and everything, he still got in there. And the entire time he was pushed back against by the establishment and the deep state within all of these agencies. Did they know by 2019 at this time that, like, hey, we're not doing this investigation because we're going to get Trump out of here? And this was just like a bump in the road. And we're not going to have to deal with it again. Nobody's going to have to ever find out about us not following through on this investigation. Little did they know about devolution and something else being going on behind the scenes. But This is nuts. The people would have the audacity within these in the IRS or any of these agencies to actually shut down investigations into criminal wrongdoing for political purposes and think that they would never be held to account for it. We're finally seeing maybe some accountability and justice. And they're extending the window of the Grand RICO case, which I think is interesting at this. We talked last night in the Power Hour for quite a bit. Is it possible that we're getting this stuff because it's not included in the grand jury material that they're using for the RICO grand case? That's possible. We don't know for sure, but that's possible. Or they're giving us an insight into like just how big this thing could be. I don't think this is the most damning stuff, but it's happening on both sides. It's expanding. We have the Clinton Foundation timeline expanding at the beginning, 2016, 2015, 2014. And we're getting like the Letitia James and the excessive fines and that stuff, which Trump just said in that Truth Social post is part of the ongoing persecution that's been going on against him. You could easily wrap that into the whole RICO Grand thing. So it's notable for sure. This is what I want to play. Let me get to the video. There's a couple of videos. Here we go. This is from last night. It's kind of a longer one, but it's about information we should be getting today. So John Solomon on with Hannity.
Okay, big story here and a bigger one coming tomorrow.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we'll talk about tomorrow in a second. So this is another example. Last week, we talked about the 3 FBI probes that were shut down in 2016 at the direction of the Obama Justice Department. The famous quote, "shut it down." Those agents were not allowed to pursue predicated criminal investigatory information about the Clinton Foundation in a pay-to-play scheme. We now learn 3 years later, 2019, in the first Trump administration, 2 whistleblowers, one of them a decorated federal investigator who used to do terrorism financing and uncover all of the al-Qaeda financing for the U.S. government, very respected. They file a whistleblower complaint. It leads to a criminal investigation by IRS. They're moving down the path very quickly. Hey, we might want to sign you special witnesses up as confidential witnesses. We might want to have you work with us. Let's get this case done. And then a full stop out of the blue. We can no longer talk about the Clinton Foundation. We can't talk about it. We're shutting it down. We got the internal emails from the IRS. What was going on behind the scenes at the IRS? They were making up excuses like this. The IRS doesn't have any resources to investigate a nonprofit that might have been violating the law. Now, the same IRS that went after lots of conservative nonprofits in the 14-15 timeframe and the famous Lois Lerner scandal suddenly had no resources when it came to Hillary Clinton and her foundation and pay-to-play and tax allegations. All the documents are up on the website, and people can read them. There is a protection racket that was around Democrats, whether it was Hillary and Bill Clinton or Joe Biden or Hunter Biden. We keep seeing federal agents being denied the right to pursue normal criminal investigations when it came to Democrats.
Yeah. All right. This is getting bigger by the day. We know grand juries are formed. We know there's a grand conspiracy investigation. We're going to learn something about a very prominent name tomorrow. What can you tell us?
Yeah. So I mentioned last week that there was a section of those James Comey FBI leak investigation memos that was redacted. I believe because of the good work of Kash Patel, the FBI director, and the Attorney General Pam Bondi, we're going to get to see what's behind those redactions. I think it's going to shock people. I think we're going to see some pretty clear evidence of what the lieutenants working for James Comey were told to do. I think when people see it tomorrow, they'll get a real shock of just how much evidence the government had and didn't pursue. Again, the same pattern, Sean. You get pretty strong evidence of criminality. You don't pursue it when it comes to Democrats or their friends in the deep state.
That's just it. Suppose we're going to be getting evidence that lieutenants under James Comey were given like explicit orders of what to do. And I'm just curious what form that evidence is coming in. Is it emails? Is it some sort of memo? It's going to be interesting. So that's supposed to be coming today sometime. I expect prime time here later tonight, so we can go on Hannity again, 7 or 8 p.m. Eastern or so. But we'll see. But I do have another clip here. This was posted by my buddy UltraFrog17 over on Twitter. And there's 2 splice clips here. It's about 3 minutes long. I think it's worth playing, though. First one is Jon Solomon. The second one is Jon Solomon from like very recently. And then the second one is from Kash Patel back in 2022.
4 grand juries are currently gathering evidence. It doesn't matter the jurisdictions at this point because they're just simply gathering where people are to make it quick and fast. At some point, I believe they'll roll them up and they'll take them to Fort Pierce, Florida. and put him under the U.S. Attorney in Miami, who's a rock star in the legal community.
So right off the bat, he says that there are 4 grand juries currently gathering evidence. 4 of them. That's like 4 different. Like you don't have a grand jury go in and like investigate something and then have another grand jury come in and investigate that same thing. 4 grand juries investigating separate pieces to the puzzle. Like, does that make sense? Like if the puzzle is the RICO grand case, your grand juries are investigating separate parts of that. Not all 4 are investigating the same thing broadly. It's separate things. That is so damn interesting that he disclosed that part. 4 of them. And then eventually they're going to all get wrapped into one thing in Florida.
I like that. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, and that, by the way, for you, those of you who don't know what Fort Pierce is, that's where the raid on Donald Trump was litigated, and that's where Judge Eileen Cannon is. And so there's a sweet irony to the fact that that's where the boomerang may end
But
up.
how could that be jurisdictionally?
Because you're going to look at what Jack Smith did and what the raid. Well, actually, Jack Smith wasn't there when they raided Donald Trump's house, but all the litigation he did there is the final act of the conspiracy, right? It's the same conspiracy. Hillary has a problem, Russia collusion. Hunter Biden has a problem, Ukraine impeachment. Joe Biden has a classified document problem, Donald Trump's going to have the problem. And the ludicrousness of it is Donald Trump was probably almost certainly the Supreme Court would have ruled he would have had the right to take those documents with him. He's an ultimate declassifier. He just said, I thought I declassified them. I waved my hand over it. It's done. That's all you have to do as a president. I know of a president, George W. Bush was sitting in the room. He's with the world later, and he decided, hey, I'm just declassified right now. I'm telling these guys this. He just did. No penalty. So the idea that they were going to bring this charge against Donald Trump for the classified document, it was only to protect the fact that Joe Biden, what did they do? They waited till Donald Trump was indicted, and then they said, oh, we forgot to tell you, Joe Biden had those documents in his house. They kept it a secret. That's what they've done. So the final act of the conspiracy is the cover-up of Joe Biden's classified documents by charging President Trump, and then you work your way back.
So before I play the cash part, what he said there is, again, very interesting. John Solomon, the reason I'm keying in so hard on him and have been for a little while is it dates back to the end of Trump's first term, 2021. The first time Trump declassified the Crossfire Hurricane documents, it kind of went with a dud. He declassified all this stuff. Mark Meadows took it to John Solomon, and they were going through. He said he had a copier and everything, and they were going through all the stuff. And then they got a call from the Secret Service. The next morning, they came and picked it up in like a grocery bag and took it back, and it was never seen from again. There was that CNN article that we used to talk about. Like what happened to the missing Russiagate binder? Well, I think John Solomon made copies and kept it, and he's been the source of disclosure for the good guys and the Trump admin here. So he knows, like he is intimately aware of the details of how this thing is unfolding, and he may have like played a part in mapping out the disclosure of this stuff. Like what's going to tell the best story? This guy's been around DC and politics and news organizations for a long time, and he's very talented. So him being the one talking about this stuff, you know that he is being clued in on the actual details of what's happening here. And so he just said that the Jack Smith and that persecution was the final act of the conspiracy. It goes as far back as 2024. I think Jack Smith wrapped up his he like signed his paper like saying that he's dropping the case in November or December of, and don't quote me on that, this could be wrong, but November or December of 2024. But then he goes through, he's like, Hillary has a problem, Russia collusion. Hunter has a problem, Ukraine impeachment. Joe Biden has a classified problem. Donald Trump is going to have a problem. He's giving us the map of what they're looking at here. And you can't look away from that. He knows. And maybe this is exactly where the 4 grand juries are. It's the Russia collusion, that has 1 grand jury. The Hunter Biden thing, the Ukrainian impeachment, that's 1 grand jury. The classified document scandal, that's 1 grand jury. And then maybe the election stuff, that's another one. The other Jack Smith side of things. Or maybe there's 1 grand jury looking at it all. Like, three separate ones and then 1 big one over the top. I don't know. Just spitballing here. But he's given us the roadmap, and we got to pay attention to it. Now let's go on with the rest of this video here.
Now you have a 6-year saga of criminal activity from Russiagate to the raid. And it's the same people at the FBI and DOJ who started and launched Russiagate that are now supervising and doing the Mar-a-Lago raid, the search warrant. and the efforts to take down a president. So it's just an extension of that. And the mainstream media is covering it and applauding it because they want one thing: for Trump never to run again. It's not all roads lead back to Russiagate just because it's the same people, but because the same people are trying to bury the same information. And it's been reported in the press since we did our last show, which I called before that, that this same crew of counterintelligence guys at FBI and DOJ want to hide from the public the 40% of documents that Devin and I found during Russiagate, but were unable to get out to the public. The documents that President Trump declassified while he was president of the United States. And now we see reporting in the media that that was one of the reasons, if not the main reason, for this raid to occur. So I tell the audience, stay tuned. I called it long ago that all roads begin and end with Russiagate. And I think we're
I just want to rewind it a little bit here. I'll listen to this one part again.
during Russiagate, but we're unable to get out to the public. The documents that President Trump declassified while he was president of the United States. And now we see reporting in the media that that was one of the reasons, if not the main reason, for this raid to occur.
He's talking about the Russiagate binder again. That was the reason. They couldn't find the binder because Trump had him the whole time, which is fascinating. I don't think John Solomon ever gave him back. Or if he did, he gave like copies of it or something. I don't know. But they knew Trump had it and they went to go find it. And it just so happened it was perfect because they wanted to delegitimize him anyway with, fabricated political persecution. It's fascinating, guys. I saw Ash in the chat say it's a portfolio of grand juries. And I think that's great. DWV, West Virginia, says maybe John should change OnlyFans. I think he meant Only Lands to Only Rugs. I think I like that. I like that that chain. Only Rugs would be fitting, considering what we've gone through these last few years. Anyway, okay, let's keep going. Might be a little hodgepodge here with, let's start with this one. FBI Director Kash Patel breaking. Agreements have been reached with 10 FBI whistleblowers and counsel to include a combination of back pay, security clearance, and reinstatement. We greatly appreciate Donald Trump's commitment to transparency and accountability. Thank you to Chuck Grassley for working with us to make it happen. So, whole bunch of whistleblowers that were let go or politically persecuted themselves are being given some back pay and back on the job. I'm curious to see if some of the Kyle Serafins of the world are in the mix of who's getting reinstated. I wouldn't be surprised if that's not the case. Eric Daughtry says, breaking, President Trump will patrol the streets of Washington, D.C. tonight with the National Guard to get a first-hand look at the city's new law and order, per Todd Starnes, who's a Newsmax host. There's nobody like Donald Trump. This is going to be amazing. So Trump likely saw what Kristi Noem has been doing. You know how Barbie, DHS Barbie, she been dressing up and getting all cute, wearing her watches and hair done and everything, and putting on a vest and carrying a gun around and pretending to do all these ICE raids. Well, Trump's like, you know what? I can't let her upstage me. So I'm going to go out and patrol the streets myself. And that's what he's doing. Numbers are looking good, though, for DC. I think they had their first murderless night or something, or week, maybe. Let me see. I think I saw a post from, it's like Levitt, Carolyn Levitt. Yeah, let me find that quick. Hold for processing. Yeah, DC has murder-free week as AG Bondi touts 77 more arrests in federal takeover. And here are the numbers. I had these on the screen. Carjackings are down 83%. Robberies, 46%. Car thefts, 21%. Violent crime, 22%. And keep in mind, I saw it was Janine Pirro or maybe some other people. They're investigating whether the crime statistics in DC were even legitimate in the first place. There's talk that they were been fabricated lower to make it seem like things weren't that bad, even though they really were bad. So is it down 83%? Are carjackings down 83% from the fabricated numbers? Like that's what I'm curious to see. I'm curious to see if do we actually get any answers on what was going on with the number of fabrication. But speaking of Jean Pirro, we have this is very interesting. Military lawyers to serve as prosecutors in DC. Read that again. Military lawyers to serve as prosecutors in DC. 20 Defense Department attorneys are preparing to take on prosecutorial roles in Washington, D.C., joining the U.S. Attorney's Office as Special Assistant U.S. Attorneys. The group, drawn from the Judge Advocate General Corps, JAG, will begin work next week handling both federal and local cases. What? Tim Lauer, a spokesman for the U.S. Attorney's Office, confirmed the detail but said he did not know how long the arrangement would continue. The district's U.S. Attorney's Office is unique in prosecuting both federal crimes in a U.S. District Court and local criminal cases in D.C. Superior Court, including those stemming from events of January 6, 2021 at the Capitol. The move has precedent. Georgetown law professor Stephen Vladeck noted that in 1983, the Justice Department initially barred JAG officers from serving as federal prosecutors under a statute prohibiting military officers from holding civil offices, but Congress later passed legislation allowing the practice. U.S. Attorney Janine Pirro has recently said her office faces significant staffing shortages, pointing to a need for 90 more prosecutors, along with 60 investigators and paralegals. So Janine ain't messing around. And she's like, I need to staff my shit up. Give me some military. Give me some JAG power. And that's what they got. So military is involved in prosecutions in D.C. That is fascinating for many reasons. It's just like taking the most normie take possible. Like the military is becoming involved in domestic law enforcement stuff. That doesn't seem like a normal thing to do. But then taking like the full conspiracy theorist, devolution Q, whatever, it's like, holy shit, the military is now being involved in local prosecutions in our capital. Like, what the hell is going on here? What does this mean? It could be nothing. It could just be like a temporary fix while she hires people. Maybe. I don't know. Or, as people have been getting excited about, standing on the rug. We'll all stand on the rug together. Maybe this is like the precursor to some bigger booms later to come. Just notable either way. What's chat saying? Have Trump cuff shift tonight. That'd be funny. Dunhe 3, like Alpha said, making all these guys who have been there forever with their buddies join task forces out of their area. Yeah. What's their excuse? They need more help. Yeah. If it smells like a tribunal, I don't know. Is it tribunals? We don't know. It just seems like they're handling federal and regular case. Tribunals are only done in the military. They can only be done under. It's my understanding that tribunals are only done for military individuals. But I could be wrong on that too. I am sometimes retarded. Let's keep going here though. Already covered that story. Oh, DOJ is now 0 for 3 in their request to unseal Jeffrey Epstein grand jury materials. I think there were only 3 requests. There might have been a 4th. I don't know. But like everybody's like super excited back when Pam Bondi's like, okay, we're going to petition the court, and Todd Blanche sent in the thing and like, hey, we want to unseal a bunch of Jeff Epstein grand jury material. And I said at the time, I was like, guys, this isn't going to work. This isn't going to go anywhere. Like, I'd be very surprised if we actually got anything from those requests. And this is what's happening. So all the hype and the hubbub back then kind of led to nothing. But there is some interesting news. I'll just read this here quick. A federal judge on Wednesday rejected the Justice Department's effort to unseal grand jury transcripts and exhibits in the Jeffrey Epstein case, writing that the government itself is the logical party to make the Epstein files public and criticizing its motion as a diversion tactic. The information contained in the Epstein grand jury transcripts pales in comparison to the Epstein investigation information and materials in the hands of the Department of Justice, said Judge Richard Berman, a Bill Clinton appointee. Berman's decision is the third by a federal judge to deny nearly identical motions by the Justice Department to make public certain grand jury material in the cases of Epstein, the disgraced financier who died by suicide in jail in 2019, allegedly, while awaiting trial on sex trafficking charges, and his one-time girlfriend, Ghislaine Maxwell. Berman's opinion, however, comes as the Justice Department is being forced to disclose the Epstein files through another channel. On Friday, the department is expected to begin turning over Epstein-related records to congressional lawmakers in response to a subpoena from the House Oversight Committee. Yeah, so we still may get something, but as of now, I'm just kind of like taking the cues on this from the people that supposedly know. Trump, Cash, Bongino, Bondi, Todd Blanche, all these people have said like, hey, there's no there. And if there is a there, does that mean they were lying to us? Maybe. But I've been tempering my expectations, and I've prepared for that rug. I am not on that rug. I rolled off that rug onto the Grand RICO rug, and I encourage you all to join me. It's soft. It's plush. It's got plenty of room. It's lightly used. We've been on this rug before, but it makes it that much easier to just like roll right in and find your spot. So come join me. Let's see what else we got here. Ooh, this is a funny one. The Cracker Barrel has rebranded for the first time since 1977. And boy, oh boy, was this a mistake. Ash, I think it was her comment who said like, so they took away both the cracker and the barrel, which was hysterical. I've seen a bunch of people steal that one since I saw Ash post that. But yeah, like so stupid. How many examples do we need to provide people that when you do this, when you do stuff like this, coming from like the place these people are coming from isn't from like, oh, we just want an earnest rebranding to like fit our new mold and new like business idea, whatever the direction we're going as a business. No, they're not doing it for those reasons. They're doing this because they're woke and retarded. And this is going to destroy Cracker Barrel. It's going to destroy it. And stocks are already down. Cracker Barrel's modern makeover doesn't stop with redoing its restaurants. It's dropping the barrel and the man from its logo too. Shares of Cracker Barrel nosedived more than 12% in trading Thursday. I don't even know like what Cracker Barrel is trading at. Let me look that up. Cracker Barrel stock. Man, that's actually surprisingly high. $53. Year to date, let's look at the 5-year. Oh, it's been trending down. Oh man, it was once over 170. Oh, that's when Biden was in office. The woke agenda was at its peak and being implemented. It started coming down, and it's down to $53 right now. They're gonna go out of company. Go out of business. Jeez. Is John calling us crackers? I was told by JB I'm allowed to call you guys crackers. I'm just not supposed to say the nuclear word. You know what? Here's some truth for you. There is a Cracker Barrel in Bismarck, North Dakota. I have literally never been there. It's like probably the only restaurant in town I've never been to. I've eaten it before. Actually, the first time I ever ate it wasn't long. It was like less than a month ago. My girlfriend went there with some of my family. They were like shopping and stuff and got food, and she brought some leftovers back, and I had it. It wasn't terrible, but I've never actually been inside a Cracker Barrel, and now I never will. They should call it Over a Barrel now. That's a great one, Rookie Irish. I love that. And no, I'm not going to say it, Next Gen Profit. You crackers keep trying to get me to say the N word. I ain't going to do it. It's a restaurant, thought it was cheese. While I agree regarding crackers, not sure we should cite JB as an authority. Well, who can I cite as authority on that? Oh yeah, we did get a sweet Halloween decoration from Cracker Barrel. It's this like, it's a barrel with the skeleton inside it. And when you turn it on, like have the batteries in there and everything, every time you walk by it, it makes a fart noise. And then like the thing comes out of the barrel, the skeleton, and like talks to you. It's really funny. The kids love it. Kids absolutely love it. JB giving you permission to say crackers like you giving him permission to say the N-word. I did give him permission. We mutually exchanged permission for those terms. So he was never allowed to say it before I gave him permission to do so. Anyway, yeah, crazy. Cracker Barrel is so stupid. Let's see, I already covered that story. No, let's go through a couple Trump Truth Social posts. He talks about this big win for the great state of Texas. Everything passed, on our way to 5 more congressional seats and saving your rights, your freedoms, and your country itself. Texas never lets us down. Florida, Indiana, and others are looking to do the same thing. More seats equals less crime. a great economy, and a strong Second Amendment. It means happiness and peace. But Republicans, there's one thing even better. Stop mail-in voting, a total fraud that has no bounds. Also, go to paper ballots before it's too late. 1/10 the cost, faster and more reliable. If we do these two things, we will pick up 100 more seats, and that crooked game of politics is over. God bless America. I'm not going to lie. I'm not fully caught up on what's going on in Texas and where it's been at, but the good news is tomorrow, I'm pretty sure I have a guest coming on. His name is Nate Schatzline. He's the state representative for Texas 93, and we're going to talk about this. And I'm going to get some insight from somebody who's there in the seats about how stupid the Democrats are. So yeah, we'll see. Bravest, love that John show is kind of a check-in for other Badlands hosts. Kind of does feel that way, doesn't it, sometimes? Fart noise like Eric Swallow. That's right, Snowcat. Oh, by the way, Snowcat, I saw you gift some subscriptions earlier. Really appreciate that, man. Really do. Thank you. I got to say again, it was so good to see you up in or down in Deadwood at Gart. Goes to base pack Henry, nuclear barrel. Yeah, I'll post a video of that the skeleton barrel. I'll show it on a show sometime. It's really funny. And here Trump posted this right afterwards. End mail-in voting and go to paper ballots. 100 additional seats will go to Republicans. I feel like that's low. Do you think we'll only get 100 additional seats if all across the country we fix the mail-in ballot problem and the machine problem, which Trump said he's going to tackle? Seems very low. But whatever, conservative estimate. Donald Trump again, just like our southern border is now 100% secure, Washington, D.C. is safe again, and we have just begun the process of revival. Love it. He has this one. This is a great one, too. Free Tina Peters, a brave and innocent patriot who has been tortured by crooked Colorado politicians, including the big mail-in ballot supporting the governor of the state. Let Tina Peters out of jail right now. She did nothing wrong except catching the Democrats cheat in the election. She's an old woman and very sick. If she is not released, I'm going to take harsh measures. I'm curious what he can do in terms of taking harsh measures. I'm assuming the best he could do is like somehow withholding funds or something from the state. Oh, you guys are in for a treat. My girlfriend just brought me the barrel. I'll show you guys here in a second. But yeah, she does need to be let out. It's unfortunate that he can't just pardon her because it wasn't a federal crime. But yeah, political persecution to its core. I know Ash was in the courtroom not long ago when they were going through some of this appeal stuff, and I forgot to even ask about an update. But we got to be getting close to the next phase of that that situation. So I don't know. We'll get with Ash here, but let me show you guys the barrel I was talking about from Cracker Barrel. This is what it looks like. Let me see if I can turn this on.
Silent and deadly.
Oh, great. Then you just walk in front. There's like a sensor here.
Happy Halloween.
It's amazing. But yeah, so kids absolutely love that thing. Okay, where was I? Let's get back to serious business here. And here's another post from Trump. This was an interesting one. It's very hard, if not impossible, to win a war without attacking an invader's country. Okay, I see you guys in the chat are loving that. All about the fart. The kids love it. And dads love it. DJT, Joanne Pop, it's good to see you, Joanne. Can apply pressure where needed. Ash 1776, he posted that while they're kicking off their special session to deal with a $1.2 billion deficit, the timing was definitely intentional, and harsh consequences is more cuts, in my opinion. There we go. That's interesting. Miss A. Watley, I don't know what happened to my subscription. I still have Rumble Premium. I got to figure it out. I like to support my peeps. We appreciate that. Actually, I just had a call with Rumble today. I'd be curious for your feedback. Like, we've always been believers in putting all of our content out for free, and we've stood by that. And they like kind of proposed to us, like, hey, you guys should do like a Rumble Premium exclusive show, just to like, get people to use Rumble Premium, subscribe, and we'd get a rev share of it or whatever. Like, we finally get a Badlands promo code. We might get that regardless. But I'm curious if you guys would be opposed to that. We don't want to upset you. And I'm assuming I know the answer to this, but just wanted to throw it out there. We obviously want to give you guys the access to free content and the best content we can, but we also want to, continue to make money to pay everybody. So we're just trying to figure that stuff out. They had reached out and we took the call. So we'll see. Dadward 43, you're easily amused, John. I am easily amused. That's true. But also the things that amuse my kids are what amuse me the most. Like, even if it doesn't directly amuse me, the stuff that my kids find hilarious, I will then find hilarious too. Like, I think it was even, no, I won't say that. Never mind. Like the fireworks, the little fireworks, like the dumbest little thing is the dog pooping one where you light it and it's just like it looks like poop comes out the back. Super cheap. Kids love it because they think it's a dog poop. It's hilarious. Yeah. So some of you have Rumble Premium. Some of you say no paywall. Okay, I totally get it. And we would still put the shows on YouTube or Twitter for free. So, regardless, you would still have a way to watch us for free if you chose. But yeah. You know that John does the pull my finger joke on his kids. I actually don't do that one as often as I should. Now that you reminded me, I'll try to do that one today. But yeah, we'll let you know when we get the Rumble Premium code. Whether or not we up our actual Rumble Premium content is TBD. Right now, the only reason we do it, or the only time we do it, is because we need to get 5 hours of Rumble Premium content each month in order to stay qualified for the Rumble Creator Program. Which, by the way, I think this Sunday morning, sometime pretty early, I'm probably going to do a couple hours, 5 hours of this last weekend's GART, because we need premium content. So might be doing some of that this weekend. But stay tuned. I'll announce it on Saturday's Power Hour if we decide to do it. Anyway, back to this post that I got distracted from by the fart talk. It's very hard, if not impossible, to win a war without attacking an invader's country. It's like a great team in sports that has a fantastic defense, but is not allowed to play offense. There is no chance of winning. It is like that with Ukraine and Russia. Crooked and grossly incompetent Joe Biden would not let Ukraine fight back, only defend. How did that work out? Regardless, this is a war that would have never happened if I were president. Zero chance. Interesting times ahead. Just a weird post for him to say. Is he talking about the fact that Ukraine has no chance of winning the war? They never did. But also, when he mentions Joe Biden not letting or holding Ukraine back, it wasn't Joe Biden. Joe Biden was doing everything he could to get them money and funds and weapons and everything. It was kind of our military who were the ones that were holding Ukraine back. When we would give them weapons, our military would shut it down. I have an article here, if I can get this archived link pulled up. Here we go. This is one of my favorite articles from back when this all kicked off. December 5th, 2022. U.S. altered HIMARS rocket launchers to keep Ukraine from firing missiles into Russia. The military did this. It was Cybercom. I can even find the Pentagon declined to comment on the moderations, which U.S. officials said involved their hardware and software. That's Cybercom. It's fascinating. We hamstrung them so they couldn't fire into Russia. Just goes to show. The Biden administration had nothing to do with that. Again, devolution proof. Talked about that many times. But yeah, interesting post from Trump, and I think CNN was even picking up on this, talking about Trump ramps up rhetoric on Russia-Ukraine conflict as peace talks momentum stalls. It is weird. We had this last week, was a huge week in terms of optics and everything, with Trump meeting Putin and the B-2 bombers flying overhead and coming out of there. And a couple days later, they had Zelensky and all of NATO and European Union at the White House. And they all looked like little kindergarten students sitting in front of the teacher with Trump at the Resolute desk. I mean, the optics of it all was crazy. But now, just days later, it's like momentum has stalled. It's just, it's weird. So I don't know where it's going with this. I think they're still trying to get some economic stuff worked out. Ricky Irish, if you're new to the chat, welcome. John doesn't always bring out noisy barrels. I don't always, but maybe I should. Maybe I should. Ash sent a link in the chat. I'm going to see what it says. Oh, I already talked about that, Ash. Already talked about that. Constitutional Patriot Grunt says no to premium fighting prostate cancer stage 4 and have to pay because insurance won't pay for fembendazole. I rejected traditional treatment. We'll keep you in your prayers. Patriot Grunt. Definitely keep you in your prayers. Also, guys, if you wouldn't mind, keep my mom in your prayers. She's got some stuff tomorrow that she could use prayers for. Just want to throw that out there. Love you, Mom. Let's see what else I got. We're getting close to the end. Here's Netanyahu calling for censorship for people who are talking bad about Israel.
It's very hard to fight the the deception, the lies, the starved children, the pictures of starved children who turn out to have cerebral palsy or other congenital diseases that leave them emaciated. And Israel is, of course, accused of starving children, pretty much the way that in the Middle Ages Jews were accused of killing Christian children for their blood. So what do you do against the lie that circles the earth 10 times before the truth has a chance to emerge? You have to shorten the war as speedily as possible. And frankly, we also have to do something about the algorithms and the social networks. This is a big challenge. I don't want to dismiss it. It's very hard to find.
So there you go. There's that. Somebody in the chat asked, Prevost 13, if we already have Rumble Premium, does it count or is it separate premium for Badlands? I think if you already have Rumble Premium, I don't know if there's a way for Badlands to get credit for that at that point. I'm going to talk to them about that because I know a lot of people that watch Badlands and are only on Rumble to watch Badlands have already signed up for premium. And the fact that we didn't get credit for that initially, it kind of is what it is. I'll have to talk to him. JK Nerdy says, do I get a new sticker now that I've joined Rumble Premium? I think you should have a little check mark next to you. And then Cabin Girl 62 says, when does Bitchin' Kitchen start? Yeah, my mom wants to do a Bitchin' in the Kitchen show where she just, who knows? There's lots of shenanigans in the kitchen. And I'm not opposed. Bay Theater Dave, John's mom has to be a saint to deal with John. I'm not that hard to deal with. Just saying. Escape the Matrix. Dang, just show a BB video and there's Ghost. That's funny. Okay. Let me do a couple more things here. I want to show you. We have already played that. Here, this is from Oversight Committee. James Comer.
I mean, I can't say this enough. I want to say this one more time so everyone understands. Ian Sams, who was the White House spokesperson for a significant amount of Joe Biden's time as president, interacted with him 2 times. 2 times. So, we're going to continue to bring people in. And again, this person, Ian Sams, is the one that would counter everything Robert Hur, or anytime anyone would suggest that Joe Biden wasn't mentally fit, he would say, no, he's at the top of his game. Every time he tweeted out, and there several times he gave interviews on MSNBC. Every time I've interacted with the president, he was sharp. He asked great questions. In there, under oath, he interacted with the president 2 times, the entire time. The entire time he worked in the White House. That's astonishing. Any questions?
Joe Biden's spokesperson only interacted with Biden 2 times. How do you speak on behalf of somebody if you don't actually speak to that person to understand what they want spoken? It's just cover up. And this is another part of this grand RICO thing that I wouldn't be surprised if they delved into, like the cover up of Joe Biden's presidency, because that goes in line with them stealing it in the first place, which is what they did. Like those are a couple aspects of this that I'm curious to see if we get some sort of resolution on, or if it fits in with the RICO grand stuff. It's the election theft of 2020 that needs to be part of it, COVID generally, and the Biden administration and the cover up of Joe Biden's administration, the auto pen stuff. I mean, it all clearly fits together. I'm not saying it doesn't. I'm just saying, like, the RICO grand case has been certainly focused, at least as far as we're being told, on the intelligence community and their nefarious actions, how they swept away and swept under the rug crimes by the deep state and fabricated stuff and propped up stuff as crimes against Trump, stuff that didn't exist, and they carried its way through all the way through to 2024. Where they fit this other stuff in the on the fringes of that, and sometimes at the center of it, where they fit that in is going to be interesting to see, and if they do it all. Anyway, guys, I think that's all I got for you except for today. I don't see any rants. Oh, I do got one from Babufio, just came in. You need a link to Rumble like Crowder has. Yeah, I'll see what I can do with that. I'll see what I can do about that. Provost 13, it's only $100 a year for Rumble Premium, so $100 a year for Badlands isn't a huge blow. It may cut down on people giving paid rants, though, for some, so may want to take that into account. Yeah, the subscriptions we get credit for come through Rumble Studio or gifted subs. That all goes into a rev share. So Rumble takes its cut, and then 100% of that is the rev share. So we all split it evenly. So if you're only watching Badlands for like one show and you want to support that one show, which is great, give the rants there, or actually give boosts because they get more of a cut from that. But we understand wanting to support Rumble too. If you sign up for the Rumble Premium, it gets shared amongst everybody, which I fully support that. And there's multiple ways you can subscribe that get shared. It's that Substack, it's Twitter subs. I think that might be it. But anyway, that's all I got for you guys for today. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day. What is Thursday? What do we have on the schedule today? Hold for processing. While I check that. We got some special coverage, new executive order. Wonder what his new EO is going to be. Rug Pull Radio, sit rep tonight with General Quast. Don't want to miss that one. Quite frankly, he's on today, taking it back. Yeah, we got a good lineup today, guys, as we do every day. So make sure you give us a follow here. Hit that thumbs up if you wouldn't mind. And I will see you back on here tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern, right here on the Daily Herald. Oh, YouTube Super Chat. Thank you. Regularly Whirly, go Johnny go for $1.99. Thank you, YouTubers, and those who watched on Twitter. Okay, now I'm going to let you go. Have a great rest of your day, guys.
Let's get started.
That's what she said.
Oh, that's real good.
Why they stopping me? Stopping me.